Welcome to the Other Star franchise, the anti-fascist Star Wars podcast where a couple of Trekkies from the Star Trek fandom discuss Star Wars. We are watching the Star Wars shows, movies, and animation in chronological order leading up to the release of the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, and today we are discussing episodes of the Clone Wars which take place in 21 BBY. I'm Fatheree, this is Taylor. Taylor, are you ready to talk about more Clone Wars?
Yep.
It's going to take us a
few
little bit longer to get through the show, but you know what? I was doing some math. I was crunching some numbers. And so how many episodes of Clone Wars do you think we've watched? I know you weren't expecting a pop quiz, so sorry to put you on the spot.
36?
We've actually watched 44, if I have looked at our spreadsheet correctly. Yeah, about that. I can get the spreadsheet on screen, so let me pull that up in 1 second. For those of you that are watching us visually, everyone else who's only listening to us, you don't see the spreadsheet that I keep mentioning, but there should be a link wherever you are listening to me, whatever podcast platform. If you check the description, then you should be able to see the famous spreadsheet I talk about all the time on this show. But it is right here for those of you who can see it.
At first I thought you were going to say, if you're watching us live, you get to see all the animals in the background.
Yeah,
as soon as you're like, oh, you get to see the spreadsheet, Amos jumped up on the couch.
We have a lot of animals running around in the background too, so we like having them be part of the show because it's just easier.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I have highlighted the episodes we're talking about today, but I think we've watched 44 episodes of Clone Wars out of the 133, which doesn't count the movie and also doesn't count like the weird unreleased episodes that used to be on StarWars.com but aren't anymore, where it's just kind of the animatics. It's not like the final animation, but like the voice acting is there. I'd like to cover those because supposedly they're still canon, and they are... One of them is actually kind of a cool story that ties into the Death Star, so I'd like to include those as well if we can watch those somehow, but not counting those, not counting the movie. We've watched 44 of the 133 episodes, so we're a third of the way through, right?
That's a lot of math. Yeah, that sounds right. 40 divided
I
by
think
120.
We have 88 remaining episodes. Maybe I got something wrong in there, but I think we have like 88 remaining, and we watched like 44. So yeah, we're about like 1/3.
Wait, don't ask me to do math. Someone else do the math. Joel, you have a calculator?
No. Okay, hold on. We gotta actually do this now. So sorry, but
Put it in a
okay.
cell.
Clone Wars. There's 1, 2, and then no one wants to listen to me count. But sorry,
Well,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. On down, 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 down. Just need to add 2 to whatever number I get here. So that is 42. Yeah, we've watched 44 episodes.
Hey, good memory.
And so even though we've skipped an episode of season 1 that we still haven't watched, we're jumping all around because we're watching Clone Wars in chronological order. So even though that we skipped an episode of season 1 that we haven't gotten to yet, there's this episode of season 2 we haven't gotten to yet. We've watched we've watched 2 episodes of season 3. So we've watched the equivalent of 44 episodes that would be the combined season 1 and season 2. They're both 22 episodes. Man, this is like the most unlistenable podcast episode I've ever made.
Yeah, great
I'm
start
sorry.
here. Sorry, guys. Crunching numbers in real time.
But basically what I'm trying to say is that even though we're not watching the show in release order, we just go straight through season 1 and then straight through season 2 and on to season 3. We've basically have done the equivalent of watching the first 2 seasons, because the 2 episodes we haven't gotten to yet are negated by the 2 episodes of season 3 we've already done.
Right.
The show does get a lot more linear after you get out of season 3. It's very linear. Not perfectly linear, but mostly linear. So it'll just kind of be seasons 4, 5, 6, 7. But yeah, we're a third of the way through this war. We're still in the year 21 BBY, but a lot closer to that BBY than it was back when we started this thing off with the Acolyte over a century ago. But yeah, these episodes we're talking about today, Lightsaber Lost. It's a very standalone episode where Ahsoka loses her lightsaber. And then there's a 3-episode arc that introduces the really, if you're watching Star Wars in chronological order, I know there might be some books or comics or something else out there, but it's like the stuff that we're watching. This is the first we see of any Mandalorians. I guess Jango Fett, and it's debatable if he's a Mandalorian or not, but we see him in Mandalorian armor in Attack of the Clones.
Right.
But here we actually go to Mandalore. We meet Mandalorian characters. The word Mandalorian is said in Star Wars. You know that the word Mandalorian had never been spoken in a single Star Wars movie, and that it wasn't said on screen in Star Wars until Clone Wars.
Wow.
And even that being said, Mandalorians were still a big popular thing people wanted to see. I remember there being a lot of disappointment in how Clone Wars handled Mandalore, at least early on, where it's they made them very boring, and they're all blonde white people who live in weird glass cities. So it wasn't the cool commandos that people were expecting. But we do get some of that in here. And then we're also going to talk about, speaking of the Fett family, a Boba Fett trilogy that rounds off Season 2, where Boba Fett seeks revenge against Mace Windu. A kind of an obvious story, I guess, if you're trying to fill in the gaps between Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. But it is also kind of neat to go back and watch now after we've had the Book of Boba Fett and even with the Mandalorian TV show. There's been a lot of stuff expanded about the Mandalorian lore, and a lot of it does tie back in. You had to have Jon Favreau voicing the Vizsla guy. I forget if it's I get the different Vizslas mixed up.
Yeah, your guess
but
is as good as mine. Names are hard for me.
Well, it's not Pav Vizsla. He was the ancient Jedi, but or I might be wrong. I don't know. I shouldn't say anything because whatever I say is going to be wrong. But Jon Favreau also voices the descendant of this guy that we see in these episodes, who's the bad guy here with the Darksaber. But we see him again, or no, we don't see him again, but we hear him voice one of the descendants of that guy in the Mandalorian TV show that we haven't gotten to yet, which was the TV show that he made with Dave Filoni. And now they have their movie coming out later this year, which is the excuse for us watching all of this stuff.
Well, do you want to deep dive the 7 episodes we have for today?
Yeah, so only 7 episodes. We're going to knock these out pretty quick. Oh, I should also say that this might be the last show for a while. I don't know if I doubt we're going to have time to get one out before the cruise, which is kind of sad because I would like to watch some more Clone Wars within the next few days, but I might not have time because we're going on the Star Trek cruise.
We might.
We're Star Trek fans first and Star Wars fans second, so we'll put our side project Star Wars podcast on hold to go on our Star Trek themed vacation. But the first of these 7 episodes that we are talking about today, Lightsaber Lost, Season 2, Episode 11. And again, these are all going to be in the year 21 BBY. Still in that early half of the Clone Wars. But I'm going to recap Lightsaber Lost by reading the synopsis. After escaping the planet... How do you say this one again?
I was going to read it.
Okay, you say it.
After escaping to the planet Seleucami, Grievous searches for a ship to get off-world.
This is the one to the deserter. This isn't even the right synopsis, so that's my fault.
Well, stand by, team.
You could also say the...
I can't see it.
Well, yeah, I don't have the tab pulled up.
Do 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 do.
Okay, so what was it again? Episode 2, Season 2, Episode 11. Okay, so and there's a lot of nice mouse clicks for our audience to listen to because we don't We don't edit those out on this show. We do it raw and gritty, like how Star Wars is supposed to be. So, okay, lightsaber lost. When Ahsoka's lightsaber is stolen by a pickpocket, she gets help from the seemingly feeble elder Jedi Tara Sinube as she tracks down the thief. What? You can read it if you want.
It's too late.
We'll read the moral.
Oh, easy isn't always simple. Is that the right moral?
Maybe.
We don't know anything. This is going well, our first episode to talk about. But I'm going to go ahead and start talking about it. I like the lightsaber lost story. It's pretty hokey, but I like Ahsoka. And I'm actually, I think like the main stressor for her is like Anakin always is losing his Skywalker. He's losing his lightsaber a lot, and so she probably gets a lot of grief from him, but more of like grief from Obi-Wan about Anakin losing his lightsaber all the time. And I think she doesn't want to disappoint Obi-Wan more than she doesn't want to disappoint Anakin.
No, I can see that.
And so she's like stressed out, like, oh God, like we don't have time to go and make me another lightsaber, you know? Like I have to get this one back. But I think it's fun to see her team up with a Jedi we don't know, this ancient
the guy I was
Jedi, Sinube.
Our last show we did, I was trying to talk about him. I was like, oh yeah, like that goat man. You know, what's his name? Sinube.
Stop.
Yeah, and you're like, goat man? What the hell are you talking about? I was like, yeah, when Ahsoka loses her lightsaber and like the old geezer helps her.
I think he looks more like a fish.
He looks like a
parrot
goat.
Fish.
But
with this beak face.
We see that he meets a not great fate in the Kenobi show. But I mean, that's the story for most of these Jedi, right? Like, not many characters in Clone Wars get happy endings, honestly. And I guess we still have not seen the ending to Ahsoka's story. So
I'm okay with that. I don't need an ending to her story.
I kind of want to see her have like a happy ending and be done.
Yeah.
But
retired Ahsoka.
Yeah, this is an episode that probably used to annoy me, that I used to think, like, okay, that is silly, that is a little too cartoony. Okay, like this, the dumb kid, Ahsoka, like, I wouldn't even care about, like, like, Anakin had, like, some student during the Clone Wars, that's dumb, and she loses her lightsaber, that's dumb. But, yeah, I guess now that I do appreciate the character Ahsoka more, it is kind of fun to see her in this simpler time. And this, it's not like a war story. It is, like, much more simple. The Django jumper that she's pursuing was, that was a kind of a creepy character design.
Yeah.
And very queer-coded. Like, the jumper and her friend, her partner. Yeah,
sure.
They seemed pretty tight.
Yeah. I kind of was not too mad about them killing that guy. I was kind of like, it kind of seems like he was abusing them.
Two women fall in love and kill this asshole.
Yeah, I was like, let them go.
And they would escape, except this dumb Jedi brat.
Yeah, if they had just left her lightsaber, they'd be free. I was going to say something else about I think it's good, too, to see Sinube really forcing patience on Ahsoka by being slow and having her listen and stuff, because that's definitely never the lesson she's getting with Anakin, So I think it's important. I think we see this through multiple episodes when she's teamed up with other Jedi Masters. They really emphasize patience with her and, like, slowing down and listening. Like, that kind of happens with Luminara, that happens with Plo Koon a lot, and it happens with Sinube. And
which is funny, because I just pointed out last time, Ahsoka had to remind Anakin to be patient. Yeah. So.
But she needs that. It's like the duplicity, She's lacking that with Anakin, so it's cool to see these little stories sprinkled in.
But yeah, it's cool also to, in the time of Luke Skywalker later, like post Return of the Jedi, that Ahsoka's around then and there, and that she has all these experiences from all these various Jedi that she just happened to work with during the Clone Wars, during her Jedi career. So she could, like, pass on all these stories of Sinube and Plo Koon and Luminara to Luke at some point. I think about that a lot. I think about like whenever Ahsoka is doing something in any of the Star Wars we're watching, I always think like it's possible she tells Luke Skywalker about this. We know that
Yeah.
they're gonna hang out and have conversations at some point. Spoilers for the Book of Boba Fett, but on this show we're allowed to spoil any and all Star Wars except for Skeleton Crew because we haven't seen that one yet, and it's gonna be a while before we get to it. But I don't know. When you said like you were gonna say something else, but you forgot, I was like, oh, you're probably gonna mention that Nube had that cool lightsaber in his cane.
Oh, that was cool.
He
But
should have
no,
been more
I
like a
remember
turtle. Like he was like slow and steady wins the race, you know.
Mhm.
So maybe he should have been a turtle instead of a goat. But if that's all we have on lightsaber lost, we can move on to the Mandalore plot. If you'd like to read the synopsis for this one.
Should I read all three?
Oh wait, yeah, because this
Since
is part
it's-
of the Duchess
Yeah.
trilogy. Yeah, okay.
So we've got season 2, episode 12, the Mandalore plot. I'm assuming that's not pot. The Mandalore
Yes.
plot. Obi-Wan is assigned to protect Duchess Satine Kryze of Mandalore from a terrorist organization called Death Watch. And the moral is, if you ignore the past, you jeopardize your future. Season 2, episode 13, Voyage on Temptation. As Satine heads to Coruscant, protected by clones and 2 Jedi, Anakin, R2, and the clones find assassin droids in the cargo while Obi-Wan tries to identify the traitor. And the moral is, fear not for the future, weep not for the past. And the third one in the series, season 2, episode 14, Duchess of Mandalore. On Coruscant, Satine disguises herself as a civilian to avoid assassins as she pleads for the Senate to leave her planet in peace. And the moral is, in war, truth is the first casualty.
Yeah, that's an appropriate one for that episode. 'Cause that has the kind of like a deep fake, almost kind of like something we would see today with like an AI.
Edited or something?
Yeah, like, but it was basically like a fake hollow message of
Well,
someone on Mandalore, like saying like, please don't come and invade us. We got this on our own. But they had it.
It was strategically cropped, though.
Right. They twisted it to make it say like, oh yeah, please do come and invade us. We need your help.
Yeah.
But yeah, we get 3 different stories with the Duchess. We have Obi-Wan goes to Mandalore and they discover the Mandalorian terrorist group Death Watch, fight them. Then yeah, we have like the trip from Mandalore to Coruscant, assassination attempt on the Duchess, and then the Duchess gets to Coruscant, and then we have the political intrigue. It becomes like a political thriller.
Mm-hmm.
So
I really love Satine so much. I don't really identify...
what do you love about her?
I don't really love her being a pacifist, but I do like her standing by her own morals and how she wants to be, as a politician. Like, I like that she stands her ground and she isn't willing to budge too much. And, yeah, I like her kind of fleeing with Obi-Wan. I think they have a lot of good chemistry, whether as friends or as maybe past lovers or future lovers, whatever. I think Satine is cool and a good balance for Obi-Wan. And I love that she calls him out on his bullshit, like, a lot during these 3 episodes. She's like, of course you would think that as a Jedi Knight. She's got a lot of spunk, I guess.
Yeah, I think it was a good idea to give Obi-Wan this love interest, or like almost kind of like the optional or the possible love interest that he never pursued because of his commitment to the Jedi Order. But it was cool to show this character that like, oh, he could have had his Padme, but he chose the Jedi way over his heart.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Anakin obviously did the opposite. And then, of course, where this eventually leads with the Darth Maul and Obi-Wan rivalry. But as for just like these 3 episodes, it was weird when this came out and just hearing people talk about, like, I wasn't watching Clone Wars at this point. I had stopped watching. I gave up, partway through season 1. But it was just weird to be like, oh, this is what they did with Mandalorians.
Yeah.
and then according to Dave Filoni, it's something like, this is how George Lucas always wanted to do them. Like, I think Lucas has never really thought about this, but
I don't think it was bad. I think it was a good entry point to Mandalore. I end up loving a lot of what they do with it in Clone Wars and Rebels, so it doesn't bother me.
What do you like about Mandalore other than the last 4 episodes of Clone Wars when Ahsoka comes back and fights Darth Maul?
I think that Sabine is cool as hell, and also Bo-Katan is really cool.
Yeah,
and they're also different.
But none of them are in these first 3 episodes.
I know. You didn't say the first. You said, "What do I like besides the last 4 of season 7?"
That is true.
And so I'm trying to tell you
but
what I like about Mandalore.
Sabine's a Rebels character, but yeah.
Okay, but you still said Mandalore, so
I don't know. I mean, this planet, not the particular Mandalorian
I'm talking about the people,
characters,
not the planet. But I really dig their fighting style and I love how different all their armor is. It kind of reminds me of the clones in a way. They all kind of look similar and they all have their own unique individuality, obviously, because they are different people. But
okay, Pre Vizsla is the Vizsla that's in this episode, and he was the governor on the moon, Concordia.
Yeah.
So, because basically, the Mandalorians, I guess I would have been expecting to see, it would have been more Jango Fett and the armor and stuff. They all the rowdy Mandalorians who were always having these war with the Jedi, they've all been sent to the moon of Concordia, but that's where they've formed their terrorist group Death Watch, and they want to take over Mandalore and make all the Mandalorians warlike again. And so Pre Vizsla, voiced by Jon Favreau, is secretly working with the Separatists, because Dooku is okay, if you can pull off a coup and take over your planet, then I'll come work with you. But he was you got to get all of Mandalore united behind you on your own. I can't go there and just support you indefinitely. You got to get your planet under control. So yeah, a lot of cool political intrigue going on. I like the political side of Star Wars after all. Even though the prequels made me think for a long time that wasn't for me.
Yeah, they do a better job in the Clone Wars. I really liked. Well, I guess not liked, but the Palpatine and the Duchess of Satine butting heads. And his blue-horned guy that...
Maz Amida or whatever.
Yeah. They're all... I loved how much they were butting heads and, are debating and stuff. And you're kind of we know, Palpatine is Sidious, so, we're always no, nothing that he wants, please, you know. But, I think that was really good. Oh.
The cat agrees.
Really good... I was going to say, political... I don't know.
Drama,
yeah.
Political drama.
I don't even know words.
I like of these 3 episodes though. I do kind of like the Obi-Wan versus Pre Vizsla lightsaber versus darksaber battle, and it is such a cartoony way to introduce this darksaber that is now iconic. You buy toys of it at Walmart or Target. It's the Mandalorian made it this really famous thing. But it first appears up in the Clone Wars in this episode with these silly bad guys called Death Watch. That's such a ridiculous name. That's so Saturday morning cartoon. Death Watch. That sounds scary. It's kind of hard to take them seriously.
The Power Rangers?
Yeah. But I think the second episode might be my favorite of these 3. Voyage of Temptation, where they're basically on a flight from Mandalore to Coruscant. Mm-hmm. But it has a really cool moment, and it has kind of a decent mystery of... there's a few worlds that don't want to join with the Republic or with the Separatists, which is weird, because you kind of think everyone's in the Republic unless you wanted to separate and be a Separatist. But that's not how it is.
Well, it's the people who were in the Republic are now separating.
But there's some worlds that were never in the Republic.
Right. So they're wanting to be Switzerland. And they're don't drag us into your stupid bullshit. We weren't even part of the Republic, so we can't even be separatists.
But a lot of the Separatists, they were in the Republic, and then they left. Right. And then I guess, I don't know, maybe there's other worlds that just choose neutrality, even though if they are a Republic world.
But the thing about this war is that the Separatists and the Republic are both really good about dragging neutral worlds into this war because they need more resources. They need like food. They're trying to get these this happened in the Toydarian.
Yeah, the Toydarians.
Toydarian episode.
And the Twi'leks seem like, yeah, we don't really want anything to do with either of y'all.
Yeah.
But
so it's definitely understandable that these planets and their political leaders like don't want to be dragged into this shit, you know? They're like, we've got our own stuff to worry about.
But the thing I like most about the Voyage of Temptation episode is, you know, while they're having this flight from Mandalore to Coruscant, and all these different representatives of different planets are, you know, talking about like their positions on the war. There's this assassination attempt against the Duchess, and the kidnapping of her at the end, and then she has a gun pointed at her kidnapper. And he's like, well, you know, you made all this big deal about being this massive pacifist, so if you shoot me, you're a total hypocrite. And Obi-Wan, you could kill me and be a hero by everyone on the ship, except for this one person right here who would never forgive you. So who's going to be cold-blooded enough to kill me? And like as soon as he says that, the blue lightsaber comes through his chest, and you see Anakin Skywalker standing behind him.
It's just like, me, I will.
So they have some fun ways to foreshadow Vader. They just did a few episodes ago. We were talking about Poggle the Lesser getting the Vader treatment from Anakin during the questioning. But yeah, it shows that that Anakin is a bit more comfortable with violence than the average bear, I guess, or at least the average Jedi. Anything else on these episodes?
I liked Padme and Satine getting along and working together a lot. And Satine working to get the that flash drive from her buddy, gave it to Obi-Wan, handed it off to Padme. Like, it was like definitely a really good suspense to that episode, the third one, where they're kind of trying to free her because they framed her for like murder or something.
Yeah, and that was kind of Jango Fett-y, that episode, with like kind of the Mandalorians on Coruscant trying to assassinate people. Like, it looked kind of like, you know, like Jango Fett and the shapeshifter Zam in Attack of the Clones. Yeah. And I thought like one of those Mandalorians, one of those Death Watch Mandalorians, like the assassin active on Coruscant, he had like classic Boba Fett voice. You know, before Boba went Kiwi in the special edition. I like the classic Clint Eastwood voice. I like to watch the despecialized. It doesn't make sense watching all of this and then like going into that, but that's how I do. Anything else on the Mandalorian episodes we watched?
No.
I guess I would just add that I'm looking forward to seeing more Mandalorian stuff, but when we get those other characters like Bo-Katan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's some really strong arcs for Mandalore coming up.
Yeah.
But I like this, planting the seed for more.
Yeah, and it is more enjoyable for me to watch now than like when I first heard about it or when I first saw it. So, well...
Ready for the next trio?
Yes. So the next three, Death Trap, R2 Come Home, and Lethal Trackdown. The last 3 episodes of Season 2. This is Boba Fett making his revenge attempt against Mace Windu. And I guess it rounds off Season 2 as... I recall at the time they promoted it as Season 2 as... I think they called it The Rise of the Bounty Hunters. It was like something like Bounty Hunters. Like, here come the Bounty Hunters. We're going to have like... Star Wars Bounty Hunters in Season 2 of the Clone Wars. And, we started with, like, a lot of Cad Bane stuff. We had, like, that one episode called Bounty Hunters with, like, some nice Bounty Hunters. And then we get Boba Fett and more Bounty Hunters here at the end.
So, Season 2, Episode 20, Death Trap. Boba Fett infiltrates a Republic cruiser and joins a group of young clones with the intention of assassinating Mace Windu for killing his father, Jango Fett. The moral: who my father was matters less than my memory of him. Season 2, Episode 21, R2 Come Home. Anakin Skywalker and Mace Windu are trapped in the crumbling ruins of a crashed ship while searching for survivors, and only R2-D2 can get out a message to save them. if he can elude vicious Gundarks and, worse yet, a crew of determined bounty hunters led by Boba Fett and Aurra Sing. The moral is adversity is a friend's truest test. And the third one is Season 2, Episode 22, Lethal Trackdown. While Anakin and Mace Windu recover from their injuries, Plo Koon and Ahsoka track down Boba Fett from the underworld of Coruscant to the desert planet of Lorum. Boba's revenge scheme finally leads to a climactic battle, and the life of a Republican admiral hangs in the balance. The moral is revenge is a confession of pain.
Yeah, so basically, Boba Fett takes down a Republic Star Destroyer trying to kill Mace Windu, and then ends up having a starfighter battle with R2-D2. And R2-D2 becomes Lassie and goes all the way back home to the Jedi Temple to go get help. And is like, hey, Anakin Skywalker and Mace Windu are in danger and need help.
Yeah, they're getting crushed.
Yeah, and so then we have Plo Koon and Ahsoka have to track down and find... Oh, they go to Hondo's planet, the pirate guy Hondo, who we've been talking about from our last couple episodes. So, Chris in the live audience is here, and he talks about R2 to the rescue, as a comment, R2 to the rescue. But, Chris, I know you're saying that your Star Wars knowledge isn't that deep, and I think you said you haven't watched Clone Wars before. But yeah, they basically make R2-D2 be Lassie in this episode. Like, it... And he's piloting a starfighter all by himself, because I guess astromech droids can do that. And they shoot down his communication system, so he has to fly his ship all the way back to Coruscant to go get help. But yeah, it's pretty... And they call it R2 Come Home. Like, I think there was a movie or a show or something called, like, Lassie Come Home at some point.
Oh.
So it's like just how they did the Zillo Beast. They did Star Wars does Godzilla, and now they're doing Star Wars does Lassie. But for those who don't know about Lassie the dog, it's like the joke is that like Timmy falls in a well, and then like Lassie goes to where the grown-ups are and like barks, and the grown-ups are like, oh no, I guess Timmy needs our help, and then they go find him and everything's okay. But what do you think about seeing more Little Kid Boba? We saw Little Kid Boba in Attack of the Clones. They bring back like that same guy. I think he's by the time when they were recording these voices, he was probably like 19 and not 12. But that's cool that like they gave him the job.
Yeah, I liked him blending in with the clone cadet babies. That was really neat.
Yeah, that was a good idea. Yeah, they have like, because you get more into clone culture. You get to see like the lives of clones. Like when they're little kids, they go on tours of these Star Destroyers, and it's like, okay, when we super age you up to adult status, you'll have a job like this, and isn't it cool? And
they're like on a field trip, kind of.
So Boba Fett infiltrates the class field trip basically, and he's there with some other clones, and he goes and destroys like the engine room of the Star Destroyer, and the ship crashes on a planet, and like a lot of people die. Like Boba Fett he doesn't want to kill these clones because like they look like his dad, and they're like his brothers. Like they call him brother because like to them he looks like a young clone,
right?
Which I guess he is, but
yeah, he is a clone, but he was made specifically for Jango Fett to have like a son.
Right.
But he doesn't have the accelerated growth.
He doesn't have any of there's other augmentations too that they have. Like he doesn't have like the Order 66 chip in his head either.
Yeah. Because spoilers, he's twins-ish with Omega. Like they're siblings.
Yeah, I guess. Also... I mean, he's like I guess they'd be around the same age though, huh?
Yeah.
So well, interesting, yeah. I want to see live action Omega at some point.
Yeah, that would be cool.
But it was cool that, Boba Fett, even as a little kid, could take down a Star Destroyer. Like, that's a claim to fame, right? Like, he's got to put that on his resume, like when he's trying to get a job from Jabba the Hutt or something later.
Yeah, I do think I like seeing the tension between him and the bounty hunters, too. Like, he's still just a little kid. And he like isn't doing very well at like taking really not bad orders, but like super dangerous, or what am I trying to say? Like when she tells him to shoot one of the clones, he hesitates.
They have hostages trying to get Mace Windu to turn himself over to them.
Yeah, and when they're like getting beat up,
they make like a hostage video, and then she's like, shoot one of these guys on camera, and he won't do it. And she's like, fine, I'll do it myself. Which was really disturbing. Yeah. They do cut away, so you don't see like the actual fatal shot, but like it's there, and like you see everyone's reactions. That kind of makes it worse when you can't see it, because it makes you think like, oh, it must look really bad. But Aurora Singh is kind of a deep cut in Star Wars. She is a bounty hunter that you see like one glimpse of in the Phantom Menace. She's just like a spectator in the pod race.
Yeah.
Which was a really cool design, and so they created like this big elaborate backstory, but she's this like pasty-skinned redhead with an antenna that comes out of the top of her head.
She's got like
she's
coil
red hair.
It's like bluish.
Oh, is it blue?
Yeah.
Or whatever color it is. But, yeah, she's pretty mean. And apparently she used to have a thing with Hondo. And, like, he can't say no to her.
He's scared of her.
Yeah, she takes, like, these hostages there to his planet and just kind of starts bossing them around. And so when the Jedi show up, he's like, yeah, this is all a big trap, and I have no idea what she has planned for you. And Plo Koon is like, well, why did you tell us this, Hondo the space pirate? And he was like, so that I didn't have any involvement in any of it.
Yeah, he's like, I don't need to be on your bad side and her bad side.
But yeah, I like the pragmatism of our pirate lord Hondo. He's a great addition to Star Wars from Clone Wars.
Yeah.
A lot of the characters like this, like these cool side characters, like I wish they had people like that in the prequel movies, and I would have liked those more.
Yeah.
Because this is a cool time period to explore. I like that they can do so many of these war stories and, clones versus droids. I honestly, for whatever reason, never get tired of that. But I also really like it when they can do these other Star Wars stories that take place during that era, but not necessarily have much to do about the war. Like these episodes. Boba Fett really does not have much to do with the Separatist or with the war. I guess they do at one point say, like, oh, if we can give Count Dooku the head of Mace Windu, he'll pay us. But the Plo Koon and Ahsoka investigation, they go to the Coruscant underworld, and it made me remember, I don't know how many people out there know about this, but for a long time, Lucasfilm wanted to make a Coruscant underworld TV show. And I don't know if they were already thinking about that when they wrote this episode, but I do know that there is stuff in Clone Wars meant to foreshadow this show. Like, Saul Guerrera, before he ever appeared in Rogue One or Andor or anywhere else, Saul Guerrera appeared in Clone Wars as a younger character, but he was actually created in Clone Wars with the idea of like, oh, this will be a guy in our Coruscant Underworld TV show who's this hardcore rebel fighting the Empire. Mm-hmm. And so they ended up using that character in Rogue One instead, but he was created for this TV show that never got made. But so I almost wonder if they were already thinking of that here when they kind of established like, oh yeah, Coruscant has this really seedy underworld where it kind of becomes like kind of a detective noir story where they go into this bar to get information. And it's one of the worst cases of Star Wars small universe syndrome, because not only was Aurora Singh, who has like raised Boba Fett and is taking him on this revenge mission and is down with killing all these clones and Jedi and whatever, and then like when one of the guys working in her little bounty hunter gang can't cut it anymore, and he like calls his friend and he's like, I gotta get out of this, but here's some information you might find useful. And so she kills this guy for ratting her out. But then Ahsoka and Plo Koon walk into this bar in the Coruscant underworld, and like the guy that he was talking to try to send information to is there in that bar that they just happen to go to. Mm-hmm. Like, what the? It's supposed to be the Star Wars galaxy.
It's because they're Jedi and they're lucky and they can just like use the Force.
Yeah, it's the will of the Force. But I think that's still such small. I mean, like, it doesn't feel like a galaxy. It feels like, man, like they're in the same part of the same city. You know?
Yeah.
It's like, man, like I didn't even like leave South Austin. It's like if everything is that close together.
Yeah.
You know, how are you in different parts of the galaxy? Yeah, but that's just a shortcoming of Star Wars that I just at one point just decided like I just have to accept it, the Bad Batch are hauling a Rancor, and it just happens to be the Rancor that becomes Jabba the Hutt's Rancor. It's like, yeah, this fucking small universe shit.
I liked when Plo Koon and Ahsoka went to Florum and worked together to defeat Aura Singh. Like, I think that the chase, Ahsoka chasing down Aura and then, like, going to Slave One to rescue the hostages or whatever, and then Aura kind of, like, tries to take the Slave One and leave, but Ahsoka literally, like, grabs onto the ship and is like, hell no. And, like, slices
Ahsoka
the ship.
slices a wing off of the Slave One.
Yeah, and she, like, stabs her lightsaber through the windshield and stuff, and then the whole thing just collapses. Like, it crashes, and it's a big bang, but that was very Anakin of her.
That's one thing I was talking about watching these episodes, though. It is cool to... I do appreciate Ahsoka a lot more now. And I think knowing that she will, live on and be an active Jedi in the post-Return of the Jedi world. And we're still getting another season of her TV show, and I think eventually Dave Filoni is going to build up to, like, this big Avengers Assemble moment where he ties in Ahsoka and the Mandalorian and Grogu, and I don't know, maybe a skeleton crew will be in there. Whatever else he's got going on. It'll all tie together at some point. But she has all these different adventures that she can tell Luke about. I mentioned that being a really cool thing, but also she's kind of the most balanced Jedi because, like, she learns from Anakin's unorthodox way of doing things, but she also learns from all these more traditional Jedi like Plo Koon and Obi-Wan and Luminara. Mm-hmm. But, like, here, when she goes into the bar to get information, and she's like, she actually does, find out where they are and stuff, and it seems like, she knows how to be reserved like Plo Koon, but, like, in a moment when she needs to have, like, the Anakin boldness, she knows when to switch to that.
Yeah, she's good at reading the room and knowing kind of, like, what to do next.
And in a lot of ways, she could have been, like, the best example of a Jedi, but she gets punished by the Jedi Order and, like, drummed so out in disgrace. So we haven't gotten to that yet, but it'll be fun to get to that, knowing that there's more to her story after that. Because, like, the first time I ever saw that, we thought, okay, that's, like, probably the last we see of Ahsoka. Mm-hmm. I guess she came back in Rebels pretty quick, but other than that, we didn't know if we were going to get much of her story. And I didn't know if I wanted much more of her story, so.
I did.
It took me longer to come around to her. Because I always thought it was weird, first of all, for Anakin to ever have a Jedi student. Because, in the original trilogy, he tells Obi-Wan, when I last saw you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master.
Yeah, but he was never promoted to master, technically.
Right, but it just makes it weird to say, like, you were always a student, you were never a teacher, is kind of how it comes off to me. But I don't...
But in the context of Obi-Wan, they were never peers, equals, in terms of being knighted or whatever.
Also, the last time they saw each other was in the Kenobi TV show, and, like, that last episode of that show that I really don't like, so it doesn't make any sense there.
It doesn't matter at all. We can try to explain it away, but it just... They'll just be like, just forget that.
I actually do have an
please.
explanation for it, but I'll wait till we get there to say what it is. And I still don't like it. I just didn't want them to fight before the Death Star. I think that's wrong. That's blasphemous. Well, calm down.
Yeah.
Switching back to Clone Wars, though, it is funny, like, how determined Boba Fett is to kill Mace Windu. Like, he bombs his room on the Republic ship, and then you feel sorry for the whole ship. You feel sorry for the wrong clone who goes into Mace Windu's room. Mace Windu's like, "Well, you just like go put this in my quarters," and the clone's like, "Oh yeah, okay, sure." And then he goes and trips the bomb.
Yeah, that was so sad. There's so many clone fatalities in Clone Wars. I mean, like, obviously, but each one hurts.
And you really get an idea of, like, Mace Windu and his Jedi-ness, and how for something that's both kind of noble but also kind of fucked up and out of touch about it.
Yeah.
And that, after Boba's attempted to kill him a couple times, and Anakin and Mace get back to safety. They're rescued by R2-D2, and they're like recovering in the Jedi hospital, basically. And Anakin's like, "You mean you're not going to go after this kid?" And Mace Windu is like, "No, I have no reason to do that."
He's like, he means nothing to me.
Yeah, he's like, "You expect me to be
Also-
just as bad as this kid and go out and seek revenge?"
The other thing he did that ticked me off in this was when they did capture Boba Fett at the very end, they brought him back to Coruscant, and Boba faces Windu and he says, "You killed my dad, you should be brought to justice, and I'm angry at you," or something.
Yeah, he
like
says,
that.
"I'll never
Yeah.
forgive you." And Mace,
And then Mace Windu is basically like, "Well, I guess you'll have to deal with that." He
No.
never apologizes. He never like is like,
No, why
"I'm
would
sorry,
he?
kid." Yeah, like he's
Like-
like he's such a dick. Like he thinks that he did the right thing, which
That-
maybe he did, but even
your
then,
mercenary father was an enemy of the Republic. I would cut his head off again right now if I needed to.
yeah, but also you could be like a little bit more fucking empathetic to this like literal 10, 12-year-old kid
Yeah.
and be like, "Sorry that it was your father. Sorry it had to be this way." But no, nothing.
I like Clone Wars Mace Windu a lot. He's very, like, that coldness of him. Like, he's an asshole, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And he's also, like, real powerful. They show off his power a few times, but, yeah, whereas, like, movie Mace Windu with Samuel L. Jackson is so boring. And I prefer the the cold-hearted asshole. Because,
Yeah.
like, at least there's a personality there in the Clone Wars.
Yeah, the other thing I thought was kind of funny when R2 came fumbling down the stairs, like beep, beep, beeping to get them to go get Anakin and Mace out of the rubble of the ship.
Yeah, that was funny. I liked that.
But I liked that Plo Koon, like, played the message and he was immediately like, "Fire up my ships, we're going, Ahsoka." And I was just thinking about how Luminara was so ready to just abandon Barriss and Ahsoka under
Yeah.
the rubble at Geonosis. She's like, "Well, they're gonna probably die. You should just, like, let go of your Padawans. It's no big deal. Like, that's just the way it is." And literally they were still alive and, like, had, like, the faint heartbeat, and she was like, not worth it. And, like, I love that in this episode Plo Koon is like, "We're going," you know? Like, we don't know if they're already dead or not, but he's like, "It is worth it to me." So I think it's interesting, like, the clash in Jedi. I feel like Luminara is also extremely heartless, like Mace.
Yeah, she's cold.
Yeah.
Because, like, that's that whole thing about, like, the Jedi can't have attachments, so they're detached from
But,
everyone.
like, Plo Koon is detached, but he is still empathetic and goes and is like,
Yeah.
he has
He's
more
more balanced.
urgency.
Yeah, and he's just more balanced
Yeah.
than a lot of these other Jedi are.
So,
Yeah, poor Plo Koon.
I know.
They could have
love him.
used him. They could have used him in the war against the Empire, but he gets blowed up in Revenge of the Sith. Well, the 3-episode arc ends with Boba Fett and Bosk. We forgot to mention the Lizard Man Bosk,
Oh,
the
yeah, the
Transdoshan. Yeah, I do kind of think in The Empire Strikes Back when we see Bosk, he's like the first Transdoshan we see in Star Wars. He's one of the bounty hunters in Empire Strikes Back on Vader's Star Destroyer. He kind of like wiggles his toes at an Imperial officer and then snarls at him. But yeah, we don't really see him do anything other than that. So Clone Wars was a cool time to like show him do things and he can talk. I remember kind of being like surprised, like, oh, Bosk can like just talk in English because he never speaks in The Empire Strikes Back. And you said it's Bradley D. Baker doing his lizard voice, but he and Boba will show up again. But yeah, this ends with them being arrested. They're in prison. And it implies that Aurora Singh dies, but
No,
she does.
It's open.
Well, yeah, like we just see the Slave One crap, but like you know, if you've seen The Empire Strikes Back, that the Slave One will fly again.
Yeah, yeah.
So there will be bounty hunters return. But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell like season 2 Clone Wars, season 1 Clone Wars, but the first half of season 1 I think has some of the weaker stuff. And I'm in. The more we watch the show, the more. I mean, I don't know. Every now and then it throws me just like a totally whack episode that I can't defend. But
Like
even
that
in those,
virus episode.
but even in those, like there tends to still be like moments in there that I like. So I find Clone Wars to be a very watchable show. I used to get bored of it a lot, and or just frustrated by it not being the kind of Star Wars I wanted. So, but Taylor is gesturing like she wants me to wrap up. So I guess we're finishing.
I feel like we're already an hour in and we've only covered 7 episodes. That's too long.
Oh.
Well, we did struggle with some math at the beginning.
What's our normal? Our normal rate is like
an hour.
How many minutes per episode?
I don't know. Why are you putting me on the spot with all this math today?
I'm just in a mathy mood.
I need a calculator on hand.
I want to go watch more Clone Wars, but I can't because we're busy getting ready for the Star Trek cruise, which Chris here in the live audience will be joining us on. So, very excited for that. But
we'll be in season 3 next time.
Yes.
And finishing season 1, the last episode, I think, of season 1 that we have to squeeze in chronological order.
Season 1, episode 22. We still have to get around to that. We still have to get to season 2, episode 15. But when we get to those two, then we can say, okay, we have successfully completed seasons 1 and 2 of Clone Wars.
Yeah.
And there's some big stuff towards the end of the show that I know we're both excited for. And then, of course, we'll go on to Bad Batch and Rebels and Andor and the original trilogy, all kinds of fun stuff in the weeks to come. So I think this will do it for now, and it might be a week or two before we're back on the Clone Wars grind, but we will be getting to it and knocking out some more other Star franchise content. I don't know. Taylor, anything else you want to say before we wrap it up?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, then that being said, everyone out there, be good. Remember, the Empire is for bootlickers. Be a rebel. And until next time, may the Force be with you.